Welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with a donation deck list from Juan, who I believe has now sent through 3 donation deck lists, which is very cool. A huge thank you. All 3 of them have been humans, and this time Juan wanted to see a few of the new cards and how they perform, especially a card, Esper Sentinel, which is a 1-drop artifact creature human soldier. That's a 1/1, and whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, you draw a card unless that player pays X, where X is Esper Sentinel's power. So this is pretty sweet. It is a 1-drop, it is a human, it is a creature that can get larger with effects like Thalia's Lieutenant and Rick's Steadfast Leader, which is really nice. So it can become a little bit of an issue for your opponent to actually be able to pay the mana that Esper Sentinel needs to be paid in order for you to not draw a card. But I think it needs a bit of testing first to see how it goes, because obviously here I've taken out a card, Champion the Parish, which is a pretty big card in Legacy Humans. It's one of the best ways to grind out wins. It can just become a threat that a lot of decks can't deal with. You know, once you have a 4/4 Champion the Parish against a lot of Lightning Bolt decks, they're gonna have a tough time dealing with it outside of something like Brazen Borrower or just racing it, which sometimes isn't the easiest consideration. But just for testing purposes and to see Esper Sentinel as much as possible, I have it in here as a playset, and I'm not playing Champion. I'm definitely not saying that it's a strict upgrade. I don't think, without testing, that it is better than what Champion gives the deck, but you never know. We'll see how it goes. It should be pretty fun. The base of this deck in the main deck is pretty much just a blue-white deck, or just a white deck. I mean, the only blue card that we're looking at is Meddling Mage, and the only other card is Noble Hierarch, just because being able to accelerate is still really good in this deck, especially with cards like Elite Spellbinder, which coming down turn 2 is pretty solid. We have Charming Prince in the deck, which I really like. Off Vial, it can save a creature, it can get some extra ETBs of things like Thalia's Lieutenant, reset a Meddling Mage, Elite Spellbinder, or Recruiter of the Guard. And it's also pretty sweet with Solitude, which is another new card, which for 5 mana is a 3/2 flash lifelinker that when it ETBs, you can exile up to 1 other target creature, and then that creature's controller gains life equal to its power, which is essentially Swords to Plowshares on a creature. But the most powerful part is that you can evoke this for the exact same effect, just for exiling a white card from your hand. So I kind of like Solitude here because we obviously have a fair amount of white cards. With the ETB's trigger on the stack, we can flicker it with Charming Prince in a kind of Christmas case scenario to actually return the Solitude as a different entity, and so it won't have the kind of clause to leave if evoked, which is kind of cool. And obviously Solitude is card disadvantage if evoked, but with Esper Sentinel in the deck, hopefully we can recoup some of those cards early on, so actually not down too much, which would be really nice. The other card that we have in here that's a new one is Sanctifier and Vec. Sanctifier and Vec is a 2-mana 2/2 with protection from black and red, which already is pretty good, especially in the current meta. And when it enters the battlefield, you exile all cards that are black or red from all graveyards. And if a black or red permanent spell or card not in the graveyard will be put into graveyard, exile instead. Sorry, or on the battlefield will be put into the graveyard. So this is a really nice piece of hate against a lot of graveyard decks, especially cards like decks like Hogak, hitting things like Bridges, Gravecrawlers, Hogaks themselves, Bloodgusts. There's a lot of targets, which is really good. And the pro red is pretty good right now with a lot of decks trying out different 1-drops from Modern Horizons 2. And just generally not being able to get bolted is pretty nice. So Sanctum and Vec, I have one in the main deck as a recruiter target. I think it's a pretty small opportunity cost to have it in the deck. I took out the 4th Meddling Mage. I was going to take out the 2nd Charming Prince, but I feel like the 2nd Charming Prince can kind of act as the 4th Meddling Mage because it can reset one on the board. And it also has just some really nice upsides with cards like Solitude, Recruiter of the Guard, just be able to get some value going. So I have dropped the 4th Meddling Mage here. To the board, we have another Solitude, a Powerless Jailer for some of the non-go wide decks where I want to have more creature hate, and maybe some of the control mid-range decks where I just want the card advantage. Skyclave Apparition for any troublesome kind of permanents, really good in the creature matchups. Obviously another card we can abuse with Charming Prince, which is fantastic. Sanctum Prelate, mainly for the combo matchups, but also solid against decks like lands, where Prelate on 2 can stop things like Life in the Loam and Punishing Fire. But I recently saw Jarvis playing lands with Urza's Saga, and they were actually playing Pyretic Spellbomb as a target for Urza's Saga to deal with threats like Sanctum Prelate, which is very cool, but very hard to deal with. Magus is a card I haven't played with yet in Humans, but it's a great recruiter target, and really nice against decks with a lot of dual lands, especially those that don't play red. Plague Engineer, just another really good card against creature decks, especially tribal decks. We can find it with Recruiter, we can cast it off things like Cavernous Souls, the Swords Uncounterable, just a really nice threat to have. Collector Oof, we do play Aether Vial, which is a bit of an oboe, but I think that when you're bringing in Collector Oof against some of the Stoneforge decks, or the Urza Khan decks, or some sort of combo deck like Ant or Tess, Collector Oof is just going to be doing so much more for you than the downside of turning off your Vial, if you have both in play. I do have an extra Sanctify here, just so I can see it in the matchups where I want it, but I think that for Graveyard Hate, you could just go with either a third Grafdigger's Cage, or something like Sanctum Prelate, something like Fairy Macabre, which you can still find off Recruiter the Guard, which is fantastic, and just plays around some of the other hate that you might see. And then Containment Priest. Priest just really nice against some of the decks like Elves, obviously good against Reanimator. Other Vial decks, if we're looking to gain an advantage that way, but yeah, just a nice hate bear that has a role in a variety of matchups that I might have issues with, so that's pretty much it. I think what we're going to do here is really just play some games, have some fun, and see how this goes, because I typically used to run a lot of 5-color kind of human decks, kind of like this, so playing things like Kaisel Freebooter, General Kudrow, Urzov Pontiff, which of course we do have Plague Engineer, but I kind of liked Pontiff for some reasons, mainly in the matchups where let's say Elves. There obviously are Elves that are X1s, but then there's also Dryad Arbor, which is a Dryad, and then you have an Insect in Wywood Symbiote. And then against decks like D&T, you do have Humans, then you have Spirits, Horrors, and Elementals, and then even some other decks where there's multiple X1s that you kind of want to deal with. So maybe like a Young Pyromancer and a True Name, where Plague can only hit one, but yeah, I think we'll be okay with just the Plague Engineered version. So we'll see how this goes, and I'll see you in game 1. Thanks. Hey, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. We have round 1 on the play, which is really nice. And this is an interesting hand. It has all the mana in the world to cast whatever we like. It also has a turn 1 Mother of Runes for protection. It also has a Charming Prince to make sure we can scry extra lands to the bottom, which isn't the worst. But it doesn't have much else. So this is a tough one, because obviously a mulligan isn't the greatest, but I think, especially for a deck with Aether Vial, I am willing to mulligan at least once. And with a card like Esper Sentinel in the deck, and knowing that I have that as a turn 1 play, we can probably come back from the mulligan pretty easily, so... Okay. Pretty happy to keep this. But it's interesting to see what I want to drop. I think because of the curve, I like something like Esper Sentinel into Meddling Mage if I'm lucky enough to know what they're on based on the turn 1 play, because then turn 3 we can play Thalia with Karakas open. So I'm definitely going to keep this, and I think it's just the extra Esper Sentinel that I drop. And then I'm happy just to go Ancient Ziggurat into Esper Sentinel. But really cool. I mean, this is the card that we wanted to play, and now we get to play it, so pretty happy about that. Pretty good hand for combo, which is nice. Meddling Mage can also be okay against some of the mid-range decks. If we can really, you know, lock into what they're on. But pretty happy from here. Bayou. Okay. Makes me think this is going to be some sort of fairish deck. Maybe Hogak. Maybe Maverick. They're playing a Black Splash. Mox Diamond, okay. This looks like it's going to be Loam. So they're going to actually pay for the Esper Sentinel, which is nice. Herborg, okay. So now I'm thinking this is going to be some sort of depth deck. So here, I don't want to show the Karakas just yet, and I don't really want to take the clearing damage, so I'm actually going to play the Cavernous Souls, name Human, and just go for Thalia here. I could Meddling Mage something like Crop Rotation, or Vampire Hexmage, but I'm not too sure what my opponent's on yet, so I'm going to see if I can just draw out a little bit more information, because there still could be some sort of Loam deck with an Herborg. That's been staged, cool. Thoughtseize. They're going to pay, okay. So it is pretty taxing. I mean, Thoughtseize there kind of cost 3, which is pretty nice for us. I think something like a Thalia's Lieutenant would be really strong here. I think I will play the clearing and just crack it straight away to see what we draw into. There's no real reason to do it other than if we draw Mother of Runes. It doesn't change anything if we draw Noble Hierarch, because we'll be attacking for 3 anyway with both creatures, so Exalted doesn't come into it, but I think here we might as well. It's actually interesting because if we hit something we can't cast and our opponent has another Thoughtseize, and they can take it, so I actually might keep the Silent Clearing for now. And just do it in their end step. That way we can untap and know that we can pretty much draw whatever we, or play whatever we draw into. Elvish Reclaimer. That's not going to be too bad. That is going to stop the Esper Sentinel from attacking. Alright. Crack this. Another Karakas. Rick. Okay. Sadly, Rick's a little bit late because I'm gonna have to cast it at 5 mana to hold up Karakas as well. Hexmage is gonna be okay. Noble doesn't really change anything here. I'm still happy to see if we can attack with the Thalia and just play the second one. This is actually a trade I'm very happy to make. So here I can actually cast both Thalia and Noble. I don't have to worry about Meddling Mage. Oh, sorry, worry about Dark Depths. This also means next turn I can play Rick and also play Karakas, so we're in a pretty good spot. Three cards left for my opponent. The only thing I have to worry about is Not of This World, because I don't have a great attack. If my opponent has a way to stifle the Karakas' ability, but I think here I just have to go for it. Lifelink here very relevant, which is nice. Let's go First Strike and Lifelink, Vigilance and First Strike, Vigilance and Lifelink. I think I like Vigilance and Lifelink. This gives +2/+2 as long as we control 4 or more humans, which we currently do, so Vigilance and Lifelink seems fine. Now I'm pretty happy to attack with just Thalia. Which means if they do block with Dark Depths, and then have an answer for Karakas, we gain the life anyway to go above 20 life, and then next turn we get actually 2 activations with Karakas, thankfully, with the second one here. There could be a world where my opponent blocks and fetches up Step to stop the life gain, but I don't think that's relevant here. My opponent is going to block. Okay. Two lanes in the bin. They get a Wasteland tapped. Okay, that's fine. Especially seeing we have the second Karakas. And the life gain, so even if they end step Karakas, end step Wasteland the Karakas, and then make the 20/20, we can take a hit and then just play the second Karakas in hand, so we're looking pretty good. We can also put him in a position where we just attack with everything. I could have actually attacked with the Esper Sentinel as well, because I don't think they had a way to get an extra land into the bin, unless they had something like Elvish Reclaimer for Urborg, and then use that to actually make the 20/20 then and there. But because they didn't have a way to actually protect the 20/20, they didn't go for it. Okay, here I'm pretty happy to start with cracking this and draw a card. Wasteland would be huge. Wasteland would be very good. So would any sort of buff effect, like a Thalia's Lieutenant. That's not what I wanted. Alright. I think here I'm happy to attack with everything. See how they block and then play the second Karakas. This is fine. This is okay. Now I hope they don't block the Thalia, because currently they can't use Not of This World with the Thalia in play. So we'll see how they block. If they go after the Rick, then we're all good. Yeah, this is more than fine. So Rick's gonna die. They're gonna go to 3. We can play Karakas. Karakas Merit Lage. We can't use this to cast the Vial, unfortunately, but we're gonna get the game, which is really nice. So pretty happy with that. I mean, we had the turn on Sentinel, and it did a little bit. It did make that a few things cost a little bit more, which is nice. But probably not where I want to be in regards to its effect on a game. All right, so we are looking at Dark Depths. I think Plague Engineer is actually okay. I like Plague Engineer just to make sure that Vampire Hexmage is not an option, and also something like Sylvan Safekeeper is really nice against the Karakas decks. So on human, it's pretty nice. Solitude is probably also something that I want here. Just another way to deal with creatures. Skyclave Apparition's interesting because it deals with anything from Piercing Needle to Vampire Hexmage to Mox Diamond if I really want it. I don't think I need the Collector Oofs or the Grafdigger's Cages. I don't think I want the Maguses, but Magus is definitely interesting. The only thing I have to worry about with Magus is some sort of effect like Force of Vigor or a removal spell on Magus, because how Magus of the Moon and Dark Depths interact is that if Magus of the Moon or a Blood Moon effect is in play and my opponent goes to play a Dark Depths, it won't come in with counters on it. So when that ability leaves player, either the Magus gets swords or the Blood Moon gets disenchanted, then state-based actions will check the Dark Depths, it'll have no counters on it, and immediately actually pull it off. So that's pretty interesting. Prelates are also interesting as well, mainly for 1 and 2. I'm not too sure if I want to go that deep. Elite Spellbinder is pretty interesting as well. It is a non-land card, so there's definitely a few things there. It's also got flying, which is interesting. So flying and Mother of Runes being really nice to also buy some time. Meddling Mages are pretty nice because we can turn off half of the deck. I don't think we need the Sancta. I might keep in one Elite Spellbinder. I don't think Thalia is that great, especially on the draw here. But I don't mind Palace Jailer. They can't usually go too wide, so I kind of like this. Charming Prince is actually pretty good, especially even just the gain 3 life. It's pretty much gain an extra turn. Mother of Runes is fantastic. Esper Sentinel, I don't mind it, even just a way to... Maybe not, especially in a deck with Vampire Hexmage. Being able to block this is pretty good, and they were just paying around it last time. So it might just be something like a little trim, and then bringing in the prelates in place of the Elite Spellbinders. And the Magus. Because Magus can do some pretty interesting things. They do have Mox Diamond, but I think Magus is worthy of a spot in the deck. This is a 1-lander with a bunch of 3-drops. No real play into it, so I'm pretty happy to mulligan this. Okay. I don't mind this hand. I do like that 2 of the lands actually can cycle into a spell. We don't currently have a 1-drop, but I think this is okay to keep. And I will just bottom the Ancient Ziggurat. Yeah. Inquisition. Sure. Probably taking Recruiter here. Obviously can't take the Solitude. Recruiter could be anything, and Meddling Mage can be a little bit hit and miss, so I can definitely understand why my opponent took the Recruiter there. Let's go ahead and name Human and pass back. Wasteland on Cavern's more than fine. I'm not really in a position to be rushing anything, so pretty happy just to pass back here. And it's also one less Wasteland they have for Karakas. I don't think we actually play any basics, no. Interesting, they're being really aggressive here. I'm going to play the other Silent Clearing out and pass. I kind of want to keep the Canopy in case I draw a Noble Hierarch. I don't want that going as well. But Black Green Depth's usually a deck that plays just 1 Wasteland and 1 Ghost Quarter, so... Now I have some pretty nice options. I don't mind getting rid of this Confidant with the Solitude. So I might do something like play Esper Sentinel, and then I think the Meddling Mage isn't that great here, so let's cast by evoking Meddling Mage and getting rid of Dark Confidant. Would love to see like a Sylvan Scrying here, that'd be pretty sweet. Bog Me is going to be fine. Luckily Humans doesn't really use the graveyard. Okay. So now I could make a few plays. We could go for attack with Esper Sentinel, see how they block, and then play Plague Engineer on Elf to get rid of the Reclaimer. I don't mind that. We also have Prelate for either 1 or 2. But I think just because I don't have another great removal spell, I kind of like just throwing this Esper Sentinel into it. They could also read me and just allow it to go through, and that's fine because now we can play Prelate probably on 1, because it also saves us from any sort of crop rotation effects and also hand disruption to make sure the Plague Engineer stays around. But I could also see a pretty good reason to have the 2 instead of 1. things like Abrupt Decay, Assassin's Trophy. Three mana. Okay. Interesting that they went after the Esper Sentinel there. Didn't see that coming. Huh. Well, that is a card I can't cast at the moment. Let's attack. And I think I do just want to play the Plague Engineer here. But if I tap out, then I don't have a great way to actually answer the Dark Depth. So I'm actually just going to pass here with Wasteland up. Hexmage is really strong. A land here would be awesome, because then we can play Plague Engineer on Vampire or Shaman and kind of cause them to make some sort of reaction. So I'm not going to draw a card here. I'm just going to hope to draw into a land. We didn't. Which is pretty tough, because this also isn't a great draw. Middling Mage we cannot cast at the current time. Okay. I could name Carrier, but let's go with Human. And then play Plague. The interesting part here is that they can sack the Hexmage to target Dark Depths. We can then Wasteland it, and then they can sack the Wasteland to Elvish Reclaimer to kind of get value there anyway. I think they will definitely sack. Just to kind of get rid of our Wasteland. They don't. That's actually really interesting. I think there's a really big benefit of making us, sort of forcing us to use Wasteland there, especially seeing we've already played a land. It's not like we're holding back Karakas. So let's go with Vampire. And then pass. They're gonna get their own Wasteland. So this is pretty interesting. I think here I'm actually happy to Wasteland the Dark Depths, because if I allow them to untap with Elvish Reclaimer, they get to make use of it by sacking it, and they already have the Wasteland, so pretty happy to take them off just one more piece of their combo. Urborg's actually fantastic, because it means that we can use our Pain lands without actually losing any more life. They cast a Hexmage and lost it. I'm going to assume that was just a misplay, unfortunately, from my opponent. I don't think they're trying to hit Threshold. I don't believe the Threshold has a real role in Green-Black Depths. Okay. I guess we could go with Meddling Mage here. But I'm not too sure what I want to name. And that might be actually just an incorrect sideboarding from me. I think it might just be Abrupt Decay. And then I'm pretty happy to attack with the Plague Engineer. I guess they could sack and give pro. I think I'm happy to wait off. At least for now. This does give them the ability to... They get Dark Depths here, which is interesting. I would have gone for Thespian Stage, because then you get to untap with Thespian Stage, and then you have 2 mana to use Elvish Reclaimer to go and get Dark Depths, and then 2 mana up, thanks to Dark Depths. I guess, yeah, if they have another land, but maybe they already have Thespian Stage. Okay. Well, now I do want to use this, so let's sack and draw. Okay, that's not good. Okay. Rick doesn't do it. We are just dead, but we won't show that yet. We will make our opponent go for it. I guess we could draw into... Solitude. That would be an out. I'm gonna see if they use Reclaimer here. I assume they don't. Which is tough, because now they also have Step. Unless they drew Step. So we might as well see if we can draw into Solitude here. No. I think, yeah, Meddling Mage is a pretty easy cut here. Not really something that I want. I don't mind the Esper Sentinels again. And even the Thalias on the play just seem a little bit better. Elite Spellbinder is also interesting. I might keep Thalia just a 1-of and bring back another Spellbinder. I think this is fine. This is a 1-lander with Vial, but I don't think this is a keep. And it's because if we untap with the Vial, we then get Noble Hierarch, but then we just have Wasteland, and we have a lot of 3-drops, so I am going to mulligan this. Yeah, I'm not going to go down to 5, so I'm going to keep this and bottom an Ancient Ziggurat, and we have to go Cavern Human into Vial. There is some thought to turn 1 Mum, but I think just turn 1 Vial is so good. It's hard to really think of a situation where turn 1 Vial is worse than turn 1 Mum. Apologies. It also means next turn we can 2-spell, which would be huge. And at least Thoughtseize here isn't the worst. 2 cards that aren't too relevant. Mum's obviously annoying. Thalia is as well, but... I think they take the Mum. They take the Thalia, interesting. Okay. Maybe that means I have an answer for the Mum. Happy to play the Canopy here and just cycle it. Bob is going to be fine. I'm going to draw first. Okay. Up Vial. I do want to keep this as unknown information, so we'll play Ancient Ziggurat. I am going to attack with the Mum here. Especially when the Bob's already in play. I do want to put as much pressure on their life total as possible. And this forces them to have some sort of answer for the Mum this turn. There's Dark Depths. Plague's pretty good. This is definitely going up to 3. Just a pass here. Thespian stage. So they're both combo pieces in hand. Interesting, they don't play either piece. Okay. Start with Rick. First strike and lifelink is pretty relevant. Another stage. Unfortunately, the Bob's just going to run away with the game. Really strong setup. I believe this is just the win anyway, because they have the Reclaimer, 2 mana, and then 2 left over for Thespian stage, unfortunately. Just a little too good. But it definitely where you want to be from a depth perspective. I mean, Thoughtseize into Dark Confidant into Plague Engineer, into, you know, not even needing the combo. It's a tough one. There it is. Alright, GG's. Definitely an interesting matchup. I don't think it's too bad, but obviously this sequencing was really hard to come by, especially on a mulligan that wasn't the greatest, but you take what you can get. We'll see you for round 2. Thanks. Hey, back for game 2 on the play, which is really nice. Up against an unknown opponent on a Urion deck. Okay. Pretty happy to keep this. Probably just going Silent Clearing into Ancient Ziggurat into Thalia. I don't want to give away too much. And Ancient Ziggurat kind of gives that away, so Silent Clearing pass seems fine. Unfortunately, Sanctify doesn't hit Uro, which hopefully isn't an issue. Fetch here most likely means Brainstorm. Either my opponent looking for a Force of Will effect, or looking for a removal spell like Swords to Plowshares. I don't think my Urion opponent would be playing Days, so... This isn't too bad either, because Thalia is obviously a 4-over in the deck in game 1, and drawing multiples isn't great. The first one getting countered makes that a little more good. But yeah, not a position we're usually in. I mean, the deck has 4 Aether Vials, 4 Cavernous Souls. Having your creatures countered isn't usually something that happens a lot with humans, but can definitely happen. I'm gonna force it. Pitching a Brainstorm, which is pretty huge. Wasteland's pretty nice. I think here I just want to go for Charming Prince. And just to scry to keep 2 lands or lands off the top of my library. put on the bottom. I'm pretty happy about Elite Spellbinder. Wasteland, and then I'm just going to pass here. And Wasteland and Upkeep. So if they have something like Stifle, I can kind of make them use that in their turn. I'm going to fetch now. Okay. I get a basic. Interesting. Presumably have Ice Fang Coatl. Okay. Pretty happy for this to resolve, and now Wasteland. I do have a lot of pain lands, which is interesting. I'm going to attack first. They didn't draw a land, which is interesting. So now we get to really have a good look at the hand. Ah, this is going to be Aluren. Interesting. Well, Abrupt Decay is a little bit far off, which is nice. I think I'm happy just to take one Swords and try to get there with Thalia's Lieutenant. I mean, next time we get to Double Spell, which is really nice. So I want to go Thalia's Lieutenant first, and then the Sanctum to make this just a bigger creature. So let's go Lieutenant first. Just so we have at least two X2s on the field, so that Ice Fang can't trade with anything. And now Elite Spellbinder is a real threat in the air. I mean, this is 7 damage. Next turn is just lethal. Opponent in a pretty tough spot, to say the least. That Wasteland was really nice. I think my opponent needs like land into second Ice Fang. I think that would really get them there, because then they have 3 snow permanents. Okay. So they have enough for a sword. Meddling Mage, interesting. I'm going to draw a card first. Thalia, okay. Let's see what they do before blocks. There's swords, that's fine. Now it's interesting because they're pretty far away from Abrupt Decays anyway, so I might as well just go with Baron here. I don't think they're going to be a Terminus deck seeing they're playing Aluren, so I think I will just go with Baron. Tolarian Archmage. Attack for lethal, which so they have to block something. Yeah, they're not going to block. Interesting. Okay. Aluren's going to be really interesting. I like Containment Priest. No, because Aluren means you can cast it without paying its mana cost. I don't mind Plagues, especially for Ice Fangs, just to get them out of the way. Apparition seems great. Solitude seems fine. Thalias seem okay, but probably not the greatest. Meddling Mages I can probably also drop down on. Kind of like everything else. The Envec can go out, definitely. I don't think this is a world where Magus is good, seeing how many basics they most likely have. Prelate's definitely interesting, but I'm not sure if it's good enough. I like Spellbinder. It might be a case of just dropping one Spellbinder for a Prelate, so it's an option as a recruiter target. I actually don't want the extra. I'm going to bring in the extra Prelate. I think this is pretty good. I'm going to quickly have a look at a Aluren MTG list and see if I can find one. Just to see if Grafdigger's Cage is worth it. No, it looks like this list actually plays Grafdigger's Cage in the side. My only thought was for Shardless Agent, but I don't think that's good enough. Because Aluren is... Any player may play creature cards converted mana cost 3 or less without paying their mana cost, as though they had flash. Does that mean it's cast? They may play it. I think the wording there... I'm going to bring it in just in case. Might just drop an Esper Sentinel on the play. On the draw, sorry. Interesting matchup. I think sideboarding is definitely an area of my my game that I can really improve. I think this hand is fine. I wonder if they play Abundant Growth. That'd be a pretty cool card. Especially good turn 1 play. Green Suns. Okay. I think you just crack his pass is fine, and then hold up Containment Priest. I'll name Human and pass. Opponent could be waiting for like Green Suns for 3. No attack. Interesting. I'm going to prelay just for 1 here. Make them use an Abrupt Decay if they have one. Ice Fang, I don't believe has Death Touch here because there has to be 2 basics, at least 3. Okay, that's fine. Alright. And it is cast, so Containment Priest actually does nothing here, which is pretty hilarious. Recruiter's gonna be okay. They have 2 cards left. They probably get another Recruiter and then do something else, yeah. This makes them not die to some sort of removal spell. I wonder what happens here if I cast... Actually, I can just cast this. No, 3 or less. Okay, I guess Plague Engine is a pretty nice draw. Or like Recruiter the Guard myself would be cool. Wasteland. Alright, let's play Clearing and draw a card. I could have played the I definitely should have played the Thalia's Lieutenant there. Interesting. No blocks. Cast this with Aluren. Trigger. I guess triggering the stack I should have put in Charming Prince. But that's okay. I might actually keep this to scry. I think that's better, just to see if I can scry into something next turn. When it leaves the battlefield, it deals X damage to the target player and you gain X life where X is its power. Okay. This is fine. Oh, okay. Nice. Put on the bottom, put on the top. I can actually Wasteland first and see if they do anything, because then I can turn off Hardcast Force of Will here. Oh, now I can actually just keep this ball rolling. Now this is pretty interesting. I think I want to go for... Chat, let me know. Would you go for Skyclave Apparition and hit the Aluren, or would you go for Plague Engineer and take out Human? I think it's Plague. And hopefully I'm not wrong. Knight of Autumn as a 4/3 is pretty good. Gets to block the Charming Prince, or trade with the Collector, Containment Priest. Okay. This is fine, because I go to 11. Yorion in hand. Okay. Guess I don't need to. The question is, do I want to attack with everything? I think I kind of just do, because the recruiters aren't doing much anyway, and any damage getting through is really nice. I feel like I can just go wide here. They could also double block the Thalia's Lieutenant. That would be pretty interesting. Now they have to draw a land. Ooh, Brainstorm's pretty good. At least we turn off Green Sun Zenith with a Containment Priest, which is nice. Rough. That's just going to be game. Yeah, because even if I return it with Karakas here, then they can't just replay it anyway with the trigger in the stack. Yeah, rough. I still don't mind this. I might drop down on a Thalia just to have the one. Containment Priest can actually come out. It's really only good against Green Sun Zenith. I'm going to bring in the extra Solitude. Palace Jail is interesting, but they do have a few flyers, and I think that can just go wide pretty quickly, which can be pretty tough. A no lander. A one lander. I don't think I can keep a one lander. Okay. Alright. Probably bottom these two. I guess this can become a spell later on, so maybe it's something like Ancient Zig and Prelate. Esper Sentinel could be the card that gets us there this time. I actually don't mind going just with Thalia's Lieutenant here, just to get it on the board and also make this a 2/2. This is fine. Cool. Pretty happy to look at their hand here, let's be honest, and try to take something like Aluren, if I can. Feels like they're just trying to rush to it. Okay. Here it's going to be the Plague. Teferi is more than fine. Because now I can get to a situation hopefully soon where I can actually just get everything to an X2 and not really worry about anything. I guess we should keep the Plague there, but it's okay. So I think next turn it's just going to be Thalia's Lieutenant and then Noble Hierarch to boost up the Thalia's Lieutenant. This is fine. A land's not the worst. Bounce that. That's okay. Definitely play a land. I think I actually want to go Esper, Sentinel, Thalia's Lieutenant, and then Hierarch. So let's go Esper Sentinel first. It's probably the Lieutenant that I want to play off the Cavern. This is looking pretty good. Attack Teferi, attack them. And the next one I can actually hard cast Solitude, which is pretty sweet. Wow, they're gonna block. That's huge for us. They lose that mana. Wow. Whew. Tough spot for my opponent. It has to be something like maybe Brainstorm into another Plague Engineer just to buy some time, kill the Hierarch, make a few things 1/1s, maybe block the Thalia's Lieutenant and then go from there, but we have the Solitude, so... Starts with Brainstorm. Will they pay for it? They don't. Can we draw a white card for Solitude? We can't, but that's okay. Esper Sentinel really showing its value in this match. Drawn a few cards now, which is nice, and it's really helped with some of the mulligans. Okay. They play the island, which is interesting, instead of the tundra that we know about. Sure. No, I think we just hold up Solitude in case they have the combo. Because I could just have a Aluren here into it. At least if they do, they're going to brainstorm. Wow. Oh, sweating. At least if they do, we can... Okay, so now that we have the Charming Prince, that's really nice. Because now we have double Solitude. We could also be a little bit greedy and try to use these 2 lands to draw into other creatures to then cast off the Aluren if they have Aluren. Alright. Uro is going to buy some time. See what they have. Do they try to bounce it here? They do try to bounce it. Interesting. I think in response here, I go for Solitude. Oof. Nice. Pretty happy just to sack these now, let's be honest. Another vial. Yikes. Okay, that's something. I wonder if we just go for Aluren's Recruiters here into Skyclave Apparition, taking out the Aluren. Still looking pretty good. Go and get Skyclave. Cast Skyclave. Nice. Very cool. That was a pretty interesting game, especially seeing that they got to Aluren, and luckily we were able to maneuver around it. But that was yeah, pretty cool games. I can't be too unhappy with that, so pretty sweet. Little shout out, I'm Dukes on Twitch. If you like this content, subscribe. I hope you enjoy it. I usually play on Twitch twice a week, Thursday nights 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time, and Sunday mornings 10:30 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time, and also just put up YouTube exclusive content in the meantime on YouTube for you all to enjoy. So I hope you liked it. Let me know if I missed any, if I made any misplays. Of course, humans isn't my go-to deck, so hopefully I'm good enough for you guys to enjoy, you all to enjoy. But yeah, if you saw any lines that I could have taken, let me know. I'd love to know. So I'll see you in game 3. Hey team, welcome back to match 3. We're on the play again, which is nice, and I'm gonna keep it. We're gonna turn on Vial of Wasteland, which can go a little bit rough if the Vial gets countered, but otherwise we have a pretty solid hand. So I'm gonna keep this. See how it performs. It would be really nice to have a colored source, so we could definitely go turn 2 Thalia, but I'll take what I can get. We also have just a really nice hand to be aggressive with because we have 2 ways to actually buff everything, and then Charming Prince can actually recast the Thalia's Sentinel if we want to, so that's pretty sweet. Alright, opponent on 7. Had a sweet game just before. Definitely check it out if you haven't. But to be fair, this will all be in the same video, so you would have checked it out. Cool. Cool. I think in like a competitive REL tournament, I would definitely consider this hand a little bit more before I kept, just because it does really rely heavily on the Vial. But we'd have a lot of draws to get that extra mana for something like a turn 2 Thalia, so I think it's okay. You gotta risk it for the biscuit sometimes, and in this case, the biscuit is looking pretty good. A little bit gooey in the inside, a little bit crunchy on the outside. Exactly what you want. Attacker having a good think. Humans has been sweet. Humans is a great deck that if you played in Modern, it's not too hard to pivot over to Legacy. You also really only need to pick up some pretty basic cards. Wasteland's a format staple. Karakas is a format staple. You know, Meddling Mage, pretty good card. Recruiter of the Guard now in Modern, I believe. At least Imperial Recruiter is. Mother of Runes, pretty cheap. Not that hard to port over, which is really nice. And no jewels, which is fantastic. I know that Eddie, shout out to Eddie Zamore, Legacy Humans aficionado, is playing a version with, I think, Savannah in the deck, which is really cool. I opted not to play it just because I have seen a fair amount of Delver decks picking up on Submerge due to cards like Endurance in the format now, so I just went with a clean, no submergeable mana base. But yeah, he's been putting up some really cool lists, and I saw that he was playing the other day against Jarvis, which is awesome, so very cool to see Eddie back in action. Eddie, if you're watching, hope you're doing well. But yeah, big fan. So yeah, I think turn one Vial here, turn 2 Thalia, and then even holding up the Thalias with Tenant or Charming Prince. Actually, holding up Charming Prince is probably better, because we can do something like turn 2 Thalia, turn 3 Thalias with Tenant, and then keep Charming Prince up as some sort of flicker effect for any removal spell, which is kind of nice. Opponent having a bit of a time here, which is fine. Rick Steadfast Leader, a card that definitely brought a lot of conversation to the forefront of the Magic community when these cards are printed, and really the only one that's seen Legacy play. Haven't seen a whole lot of other things happening with any of the other cards like Glenn. This always feels like a counter spell, which is tough, but kept the hand, and we're going to get out of it if they do deal with the Aether Vial here. Opponent having a good think. With this red as well, I just always feel like they're really just thinking, what card do they want to pitch to a Force of Will or Force of Negation? It doesn't happen, and a resolved Aether Vial there is pretty huge. But now we have to really sweat a little bit on the top draw as well, because I do want to play a spell next turn. And to play a spell next turn, I have to draw a land. I can't draw another creature. There's no creatures I can cast. It's got to be a... I'm going to say Unclaimed Territory. I'm going to say Unclaimed Territory is the card on top of my deck. Cavern of Souls would be the best, of course, but I'm gonna lower the standards and go for an unclaimed territory. I'm going to assume my opponent might be having some sort of connectivity issues because they are playing quite slow, which definitely isn't on them. It feels like it's more a device issue. Which, I mean, we're already 4 minutes up, which is pretty huge. Oh, okay. This is going to be oopsal spells. So it looks like this might not even matter. Yep. Boom. All right. So they get to put everything in the bin, trigger these Narcomoebas, and then they have a... Where is it? Dread Return. Where's Dread Return? Is it in their hand? Okay, then they can, if they have Dread Return in their hand, they can compel Therapy one of their creatures, target themselves, name Dread Return, get into the bin, sacrifice 3 creatures, bring back Thassa's Oracle, and Bob's your uncle. This can be a tough one. I mean, we have Grafdigger's Cages, and I guess Collector Oofs and Containment Priest, but they're turn 2 spells. That's going to be a tough one. We really need these Grafdigger's Cages, because, yeah, otherwise it's going to be a tough one. Target themselves. We'll see Dread Return appear above this Narcomoeba. And we'll call GG's. I guess they could actually... Yeah, I could have conceded. But I think that any sort of deck like this is going to be playing the same sort of... hate cards, so it doesn't really matter. I don't think there's any information that I'm on humans that gives away anything less than, like, if I'm on D&T, it's pretty much all the same, so... Let's make sure they have it. Cool. Grafdigger's Cage, yes. Collector Oof, yes. I don't mind Plagues because you can name Narcomoeba as just a way, if you can go turn on Noble Hierarch, it is a way to kind of get there. Rick can definitely come out. Charming Princes can come out. Thalia's Lieutenants can come out. Sancta's actually pretty good. Is it? I guess it hits Dread Return, which is nice. Containment Priest is good. I don't mind the Prelates. Probably don't mind. Probably don't need the Mums. This is 60. Solitude's interesting. I'm not sure if it's good enough. I don't think my opponent would play out like Informant without having the mana up. But there is a world. I don't mind Esper Sentinel because it does maybe draw us into a Solitude, which could get there. Or Grafdigger's Cage if they're like, if they don't have a turn 1 win. I'm just going to submit this. This is going to be a tough one because it is a fast combo deck, and you know, obviously this is a deck that wants to get to at least 2 mana before they can cast anything, and that can be pretty tough sometimes. Really need that cage, turn 1. But I'm going to assume my opponent brings in Force of Vigor perhaps, so cage is not a be-all end-all card. Alright. Well, it doesn't get much better. This is the tough part, because it's a case of we have a turn 2 Oof or a turn 2 Meddling Mage, but is that good enough? And it probably isn't, unfortunately. I think I just have to mulligan aggressively for the Grafdigger's Cage, and then hope that hand has a plan other than just Grafdigger's Cage. Okay, I guess we're going to 3 cards and just keeping... Oh, we get to keep 4. 1, 2, 3. Unfortunately, like, turn 2 Thalia again might just be too slow, but we shall see. In hindsight, if I'm keeping a 4 like this, I should just keep the 7, but I did want to take a few hits to try to get to Grafdigger's Cage. Turn 1 with Thoughtseize is pretty good if they have it all. Yeah, wow. Tough. Not much I can do there, unfortunately. Just got to try to get a little bit lucky with your openings and, yeah, make a game out of it. But we'll see you for game 4. Cheers. Hey, welcome back to Dukes on Switch. Back against Keke and on the draw with a mulligan. Not much to say here. No mana. Okay, happy to keep this. I'm gonna bottom the Ancient Ziggurat, just because the Silent Clearing can be a land, a spell later on, hopefully, if we just draw lands off the top, and Cavernous Souls is just really strong, of course, against any sort of blue deck, so... Happy to go Silent Clearing pass. Just an island's interesting. Flooded Strand. Okay. Okay. This is going to be a Miracles-based deck. So turn 2 Thalia is going to be really strong. Meddling Mage is in a tough spot because I really want to name Terminus as a creature-based deck, but I also want to be able to name Swords to Plowshares. I think here it's just going to be Cavern into Thalia. I would like to play this next turn with Karakas back up, but I think here it's just too good because it can't be Swords to Plowshares at the moment, and it means my opponent has to untap and then remove it. If I play something like Meddling Mage on Swords to Plowshares, then they could just untap and play Teferi and bounce it, which would be pretty strong. I think Thalia here is just a little bit too good. Prismatic Ending is also a card that I have to be wary of, because that card is very good right now. I also want to hide the Wasteland as long as possible, because my opponent's probably on a basic heavy mana base, and they might get greedy and get a dual land at some point, so... I just want to try to get to a position where that's okay. Oh, no removal spell. Interesting. Get to attack first. And now I get to cast Meddling Mage and see what my opponent does. Now this is an interesting one, because they know the top cards from Portent, I believe. Let's have a quick look. They didn't Swords the Thalia straight away, which I think means to me that they don't have it. So Portent, put a card on top, put a card on top, put a card on top. Okay. And that was at a stage where they only knew about Silent Clearing. I think I'm actually just going to go with Brainstorm. Which is a little bit tough, it's not a removal spell, but I think that's okay. Because if they have Terminus, it's just a 1-for-1 trade with Meddling Mage. And double blue Flooded Strand makes me think they have that. They're also going to fetch Upkeep, which means they don't have Terminus on top, which is great. Unless they blind it here. No. One thing as well that I do want to do here is not go too wide on the board and throw myself into something like Terminus. Okay. Well, now I'm pretty happy to attack with both creatures first. Snap target Portent's fine. They can trade with the Meddling Mage here. I could also Solitude it, taking out the Meddling Mage, but I think I'm okay with this trade. Because now I get to play Elite Spellbinder. Interesting. They have the Terminus in hand, and stuff I don't really care about other than the Brainstorm. So let's take the Brainstorm. They have to fetch for Narset here. Wow, they're going to Brainstorm the Terminus back on top, but we have the Meddling Mage for it, so this is going to be fantastic. They also only have one white source, so they can't untap and have like Swords to Plowshares for the Meddling Mage and then something else. Alright. Let's go for Thalia's Lieutenant first and then Meddling Mage. There's some thought to making the Meddling Mage a 3/3 so it can't be ambush vipered again by Snapcaster Mage. They're actually going to force this. No. Interesting. Haha. So now we know they have Terminus in hand. Ponder's more than fine. Is this going to be a shuffle? They chose not to shuffle. Interesting. I don't think they can do anything here, especially with the Rick coming down next turn. Rick will be online as well, giving everything +2/+2. They can't even Brainstorm and Terminus because it costs 2 and then 2 for the Miracle thanks to Thalia. So yeah, just dead on board, which is really nice. Alright. We're looking at a blue-white deck. I like the Prelates a lot. I don't mind the Skyclaves. I think Skyclave might be better than Solitude here. Sanctum is irrelevant. Jailer's interesting. I kind of like everything here though. I might just go down on a Noble Hierarch because they are playing Terminus and most likely Supreme Verdict post-board. So I kind of like that. Just because I don't want to be relying on that sort of mana, because I know I can't. Jailer is definitely interesting. Maybe Jailer is better than Rick here. As just another way to keep pressure going and also have a removal spell that I can find through Recruiter that isn't Skyclave and also just start drawing cards. I don't think I need the Plagues. Yeah. Had a few of these now, but that is Magic. Can't complain too much. A double Vial hand I'm pretty happy to keep. And I'm actually going to bottom the Ancient Ziggurat, but it does make it a little bit awkward if I draw into Meddling Mage, which I can't cast with the Wasteland. I do like keeping 2 Vials as well in case the one does get countered. Especially seeing Spell Pierce. I don't think that'd keep in Spell Pierce though, so irrelevant. There is a world where they have a duel to start with and I can just Wasteland them, so I actually am going to drop the Ancient. They shuffled. Okay, that's pretty big. Alright. Human. Vial. I do have to look out for Engineered Explosives. It's a really nice way to deal with Aether Vial. Or the card that I was just talking about, Prismatic Ending. Another great way to deal with Vial out of a blue-white shell. I wouldn't mind seeing it here either because we do have the second Vial, so kind of a little win. Yeah. Ooh, that's cool. I'm going to cast this first. And then play Wasteland, and then play second Vial. This is a core spirit, so I do have to think about how I want to get that into play if these are naming human. These stack as well, which is crazy. Didn't even think of that. They go for Tundra. Interesting. Snap into Prismatic Ending. Okay. Probably go after the Vial again. Surely. Yep. Now I kind of hope I draw just a 2-mana spell so I can Wasteland and play a spell. Another Sentinel is actually pretty strong. especially with Wasteland. Oof. I am gonna name Core just in case. This is fine. Cool. Ponder shuffle would be great because it means I'm missing land drops. They chose not to shuffle. Okay. Well, I tried. They're going to attack. Interesting. Getting in. Prelate. Alright. I kind of want to prelate for 6 here. Seeing that they kept with the Ponder. Which might just be incorrect. But it would be nice to get this down and not have to worry about anything like a terminus. I can also flicker the prelate with Charming Prince, which is kind of nice. Teferi? Mentor. That's going to be okay. Yeah. Especially since we have the Skyclave. Ooh, which you need a land for. I guess we also have the Jailer. No. What can we take? Pyroblast. Interesting. I'll take the extra Snapcaster Mage here. There is some thought to taking the Ponder and keeping the Snap, because then they have to Snap Ponder and either have a land to pay for Esper Sentinel or we draw a card. I think this is just a little bit too gimmicky, naming 6. Especially if there's only 2 creatures in play. I think naming 1 was more appropriate. Seeing Mentor, I might bring in a Plague Engineer if there is a game 3. Chose not to shuffle. Pretty happy to take this. And then probably just reset Prelate on 1 with Charming Prince if I don't draw a land here. Okay, I do. Guess we attack first. And I'm probably happy here naming Core. This could be a little risky with them just going wide. Especially if they have a Swords to Plowshares. Brainstorm. So they can either allow me to draw or pay for us. Okay. Yeah, I do think Skyclave is probably the better play there. Lieutenant's interesting. I'll give him that. Just a few little misplays here that are definitely adding up. Like Skyclave is just the more conservative and probably the correct route, because giving my opponent the chance here to remove some creatures and then just get in with their monks is pretty huge. Esper Sentinel acting like a Thalia in a lot of these matchups, which is kind of nice. I mean, if I'm not drawing a card, that's fine, especially if they're using an extra mana just to cast some things. I am happy just to block here with everything. It's not great, but I don't want them getting back the Mentor. Unless I try to just get there with bigger creatures, thanks to Thalia's Lieutenant. It really depends on if we draw a card next turn, because then we can go Skyclave into Thalia's Lieutenant. Because if they have just one pump spell, then we just lose everything, so... I think this is fine, unfortunately. And this is a great reason to use a Skyclave instead of the Palace Jailer, because now they get back the Mentor. No creature. Should have actually attacked first. I thought this was ETB straight away, but it obviously comes back in end of turn. Just another little misplay. Interesting. I didn't see that happening. That was a really interesting block. The Mentor was so good for them. I guess they had to block something. But yeah, wow. It is 11:33 PM here, and I think I just didn't do the math. And I should have done the math to know that that was lethal, if they didn't block. I thought they would have had something to make a monk token, but... yeah, now it's looking really tough for them. Because we know that they have at least a... Jace is okay. Is Jace gonna bounce something? It's only really good to bounce. Okay. This is fine. Still not lethal. Yeah, wow. Interesting. That's crazy. I really did. I thought that once we screwed up and obviously made the misplay of playing the Palace Jailer, I thought that was going to be game, but I guess playing Palace Jailer put them in a position to attack with everything so they could gain the advantage of the Monarch, but then it put them in a vulnerable position where we could just attack back for more, and obviously their life total just became a resource they couldn't afford to, yeah, lose any more of. So, interesting game. 2-2, which is nice, so we can hopefully finish this on a 3-2. See you in game 5 to do that. Cheers. Hey team, welcome back. Round 5 against Dean Machine. On the draw. Good luck to my opponent. Dean Machine. I reckon we played against Dean Machine before. I'm not too sure what they were on. Okay, we got a 1-lander with double Esper Sentinel. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to see how this rolls. I probably wouldn't keep this in another setting, but double Esper Sentinel is really nice. So I do want to see how it goes. And we are on the draw, so drawing another land would be fantastic. We have a lot of 2-drops, which is really nice. Chancellor. Okay, we're up against Reanimator, and thankfully we do have Karakas, but that's it's only the first part of beating Reanimator. All right. We even had a pretty nice hand for this, but just a little bit too slow, unfortunately. Okay. Unmask is fine. Cavern of Souls would be really nice because that kind of stifles the Chancellor effect because it counters the spell, but the spell can't be countered. I think you have to take the Sanctifier. Yeah, I mean, if we draw a Cavern, we're good to go. We also have Solitude to get rid of any non-legendary creatures, which is kind of nice. Ashen Rider would be pretty strong for my opponent if they run that in the main deck. Sai is also pretty good. I think Sai is just too good because we can't draw the extra card for Solitude, so that's just going to be game. Grafdigger's Cage is fine. These two creatures are great. The extra Solitude is really nice. Palace Jailer probably just a little bit too slow. Prelates are probably okay, especially on 1 and 2. Rick can come out Charming Prince can most likely come out. Mums aren't the worst, especially against a version with Sire of Eternity. The Sentinels can most likely come out, unfortunately. Meddling Mage is okay, especially if we can get some sort of information straight up. Spellbinder down. Thalia's Lieutenants can probably come out. Yeah. Spellbinder a little bit better than that. Jailer's okay. This is 60. See how this goes. Really want that Grafdigger's Cage. Okay. Keep this. And just hope for no Chancellor trigger. Because Grafdigger's Cage into Thalia is really nice here. Badlands is going to be okay. Unmask isn't too bad. Next time we can Mama and Wasteland if we want. Grizzlebrand in the bin. I do want to do this enough like Abrupticare Assassin's Trophy and then just play the Mum. It does put us behind playing the Recruiter next turn, but I think that's okay. Oh, don't. I will attack with the Mum. Nearly past turn, unfortunately. And Vial's actually pretty nice here. Because over time that's going to be a really strong card. Scrubland's a pretty good start. Another Vial. Alright. The attacks with Mum can really add up, especially when they're paying 7 with Grizzlebrand. Could get to a position where they can not cast it as much as they want. Or pay the 7 life. I mean, if we can get him up to 13, I'd be very happy. Spellbinder. I think Exhume I might just name with the Meddling Mage. I could also wait and Spellbinder. I don't mind that. I like the patience there. Just to know that Meddling Mage is going to hit is really nice. I wonder if they can seed with this on the stack. They're going to entomb, that's fine. What are they entombing? Elishnon, okay. Well then. That's pretty funny. We take Animate Dead, and then we name Exhume. Yeah. Story in 2 parts. Alright, we're on the draw, which makes this very different. I am just going to submit the same 60 and hope that a turn 1 Cage is okay. Or maybe a Solitude gets there. Interesting hand. No Grafdigger's Cage. It would be funny if I just like played hard into Exhume and just had draw a card, discard Palace Jailer. But then they could actually reanimate Palace Jailer, which would be pretty bad. So we're gonna mulligan this. Oh, I am gonna go to 5 here, unfortunately. Just one more hit. One more hit and hopefully see Grafdigger's Cage and then a hand with a plan. I did play the Sanct in the side as well over the 3rd cage, which I think because in the matchups where humans want cage, you really want the 3. That was probably in hindsight a pretty poor change. I think 3 cages is much better than the 2, 1 main, 1 side Sanctifier. 1 Sanctifier seems enough, especially as a recruiter target. Okay, this is actually okay. This is actually pretty good because then we have Solitude as well. They mull to 5 as well. So we'll keep this. And I think we keep the Meddling Mage. Bottom Charming Prince unclaimed. Chancellor's okay. Other Solitude. Let's lead on Karakas and pass. This way we can evoke and pay for it, which is kind of cool. Wow. We'll pay for it. Entombing again. Most likely just to make sure they don't draw the Elvish Norn. It's a great play. That's a great draw, sorry. Just to really stick it to them a little bit. Then Meddling Mage next turn. I think I'm naming Serenity. It's either Serenity or Assassin's Trophy. I guess it could be Wear Tear. Wow, okay, they don't have it, so... We go 3-2, which is kind of cool. We get back our play points, which is nice. A chest as well, which we can see what's inside. Elvish Champion. Nice. Alright, let's go to Decktech. Let's bring this over here. Let's have a little conversation about this deck. Alright. Lands as well. Cool. Alright, so Esper Sentinel was okay. I think from a testing perspective, I was pretty happy with how much we saw it. The impact it had on games, even if it was just taxing our opponent. I thought it had a pretty good time there. I think I would like to keep trying it. I think there were a few games where I did miss the impact that Champion of the Parish does have as just an early threat that can snowball out of control. But I think if I was going to play this again, I might play a few more buff effects. Something like Mayor of Averbrook would be kind of cool. As just another way to bump up Sentinel and make it less likely that my opponent can pay for it with their first spell. But overall, I think pretty happy with what we saw from Esper Sentinel. Where is Sanctifier? Didn't really see it, to be honest. I think it is a strong card, and I think it's a great target for Recruiter, especially in a Humans deck where you can just buff it up as well to make it a beastie creature. But overall, not enough game time to actually have a real thought on this card. Elite Spellbinder was pretty good, especially as a 3/1 flyer that then turned into a 4/2 with Thalia's Lieutenant. I was pretty happy with Elite Spellbinder, especially as a threat that's just in the air. You know, for a turn is pretty good and a pretty fast clock, especially in a deck that's also putting on pressure through other creatures. Solitude was nice to have in the deck. I don't think there was really a point where we didn't have the card to evoke. We got to hard cast it against Aluren, and it won us the game, which is fantastic. So I think Solitude actually has a pretty nice home in humans. Maybe not as a main deck card, maybe not as a 3-of, but I think it's a great card in the 75, especially for a build like this that is a little bit more heavier on the white cards. I do like the thought of taking out the extra Sanctifier and putting in Graph Digger's Cage. I think that's really good. Or maybe even something a little bit different like Fairy Macabre, just because then against the deck like Hogak, which you are bringing in the cages against, if you lose game 1, win game 2, they see the cages, then game 3 they might name Cage with Cabal Therapy. So that's a great reason to kind of change up your graveyard hate. And I think a Fairy Macabre is actually quite nice because it also means that if you have like turn 1 Noble Hierarch, turn 2 Recruiter, you then can go and find Fairy Macabre and have access to instant speed graveyard hate, which is fantastic. And it's also a creature you can put it on Faith of Isle, so that's a little thing. Magus, we didn't really have a game for it, but I do like it as a target. Obviously Magus can be pretty good against us, any Blood Moon effects, especially if we don't have a Vile start or a Noble Hierarch start, but I think that Magus is a kind of card that can just get your opponent, which I think a lot of the time you just have to aim for in a few matches, that it's worth having this spot. I have seen Mindbreak Trap in the side of humans before as just a card to hate out on the turn, you know, 0 to 2 combo decks. But I think that if you wanted to do that, you could probably run Deafening Silence, because you do have a fair amount of... Yeah, it's tough. Deafening Silence is a hard one in this deck because you don't have access all the time to a turn 1 white source. Yeah, I think it's just a case of if you are playing against a deck like Oopsal Spells, you just got to take it on the chin. You know, you can't have good matchups everywhere, and you know, you can get to a stage where maybe there is a game or two where you can actually win against Oops if they do stumble one turn, because it only takes one turn to get that Thalia down, or Meddling Mage. It can be pretty good. So overall, I thought that humans did okay. I thought that it was pretty nice to, yeah, get back on the train and play some humans. This deck is really fun to play, especially as a tribal deck. It's just really nice how everything synergizes together. And I think that Modern Horizons 2 has a few cards that we'll see play in humans going forward. Obviously, there's a few here that we're testing. You know, Esper Sentinel probably the one with a big question mark on it, but I think overall, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time for humans players and fair Legacy Magic players and lovers in general. So a huge thank you again to Jan for the donation deck list. If you do want to give me a donation deck list, or what Jan did was actually just say, hey, I want to see Esper Sentinel in Legacy. Can you try that in Legacy Humans? Put together a deck list. A huge thank you to Eddie, who actually had a deck list that was similar without the Esper Sentinels in the Humans Discord. And yeah, let's put one together. So if you want more information on that, you can check it in the video description, or email me at dukesontwitch@gmail.com. But until then, stay safe, enjoy, hopefully see you back soon, and yeah, all the best. Cheers.